management, or sponsors.
Welcome to Serendipity Style, where every week I will show you some of our finest luxury handbags, fashions, and accessories from my designer consignor boutique, as well as amazing guest appearances with stories beyond belief. Serendipity East is now located at 111 East Palmetto Park Road, Boca, 1 block east of Federal Highway on the north side. Call us at 561-338-0656. So let's get on with the show. Hi, good evening, everyone. Serendipity Style, of course, you know I'm Lisa. And I have two beautiful guests with me tonight that I've met. There we go. We're on now. Testing. Two beautiful people on with me that I met a number of weeks ago in the store. And I see sparkly eyes. Pretty girl, pretty woman. And Willie, we've had on before. And Willie, I'd like you to introduce your beautiful lady.
Okay, so hi there. I'm Willie again. Nice to see everybody and meet everybody. Well, I have next to me my girlfriend. Her name is Shireen Middleton. She is a real estate broker, and she's also a licensed attorney in Maryland, the state of Maryland, and the state of Florida. And I spoke on her the last time, so now this time I'm actually bringing her here so she can speak for herself.
Thank you, Willie.
Yes. And I'm so happy you came on this time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us, actually.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah. You're very welcome. And I have some questions I'd like to ask you. Well,
Sure.
First of all, you're living here, you're practicing real estate, and you also have a license to practice law in Maryland.
Yes, so I'm originally from Maryland, but I went to law school and undergrad down here in South Florida.
Oh.
So I decided to get licensed in both areas because I saw myself living in both areas long term.
Yeah.
So I was happy and fortunate enough to pass both bars and get licensed for real estate sales. And I'm actually a real estate broker down here in Florida.
Right. How is the market?
The market right now is what I consider to be more of a seller's market. So it's a little bit of a low inventory.
Right.
But in South Florida, we have a lot of activity that picks up surprisingly in the fall because a lot of people come down from the Northeast and they look for second homes and things like that. So it'll be picking up pretty soon.
That's interesting that you said that because recently I have been receiving letters in the mail. Do you want to sell your house? Call me. I offer the most. I'll buy the whole thing, you buy the furniture and all. And I thought, gee, that's fun. I'm going to put this next to my bed because you never know what's around the corner.
Right. You never know when you might need someone.
Yeah. Because I look around and I see the beautiful real estate that's down, that's popping up all over Palmetto.
Absolutely. There's a lot of development going on, a lot of new construction.
It's wonderful.
It's good to see that.
Yeah, finally. And, and you're practicing. What kind of law do you practice?
I do real estate, and I also do estate planning and probate.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yes.
That's good. If you practice law or you have your license in Maryland, could you then get a license in Florida? Would that be difficult, or would you have to go through testing? And
that's a good question. Unfortunately, both Maryland and Florida don't have what they call reciprocity.
Oh.
So you would have to sit for the individual licensing exams in both jurisdictions.
And how long does that take?
So the exam for the real estate is not that long. It's something that you do on a computer, and you get your results right then and there.
Yeah.
But the bar exam to practice law is about a 2-day process.
Oh, you
it's
went
pretty
through that
grueling.
already. I know.
I went through that twice, and thank God made it out successfully both times.
Oh, thank goodness. And I guess the law is quite different in Maryland.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So it's interesting because previously I did bankruptcy, which is mostly federal law. So it's the same pretty much everywhere.
That's probably interesting. Bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Down here, you would do amazing down here with bankruptcy law.
It's some interesting stories that you come across in different scenarios and how people have played out different scenarios.
Oh, I've seen it too.
Yeah. So
I have seen it.
I ended up transitioning a little bit out of that and getting more into what I'm more passionate about, which is real estate and helping people to find homes,
right,
sell homes, and it's just a different, I like to call it happy law.
Yes.
Because in bankruptcy and some other areas, usually it's under not the best circumstances.
Right.
But usually at the end of a real estate transaction, everyone's happy. Yeah. The buyer gets their home, the seller gets their proceeds, and everyone goes home with smiles on their faces.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I remember my first home that I sold, or it was my second home, and the two brokers, my home sold right away, like immediately within a week.
That's great.
But the two brokers had a little something. They weren't quite pleased. They weren't happy with each other. Mm-hmm. So they were snarling, and they broke the deal.
Oh, wow.
They broke the deal. It was horrible. I mean, they could make or break a deal, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I put my house back on the market. Weeks went by, and I really lost a lot of money.
How long ago was that?
25 years ago.
Oh, 25 years ago,
It was a long time ago.
So there's definitely a lot of fluctuations. And unfortunately, at this point in time, the relationships amongst other realtors still remains very competitive.
Right.
There isn't a lot of, camaraderie at this point, when the reality is if everyone worked together, it would make everything simpler and smoother for everyone.
But does that happen?
More often than not, it doesn't. But when you do have that, the two brokers that are working well together and really working in the best interest of their respective clients, such a better experience for everyone involved. Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I bet you in more that's how it should be. But I wanted to ask you some questions. How long have you been in real estate?
I've been in real estate since about 2006, so in between undergrad, I went to the University of Miami. Go Kings.
Right, rah.
And for law school, I had taken a year off.
Right.
So in that time, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do because I didn't want to commit to a full-time job that I would have to leave shortly thereafter.
Right.
And it was a time where the market was doing really, really well.
Yeah.
And both of my sisters were real estate agents in Maryland. So I decided to follow that trend and get my feet wet and see where it went from there. And so I took, the classes and got licensed and started doing it right before going to law school. Mm-hmm. So that was about 10 years ago now.
Believe it or not, right?
Time definitely does fly.
How is Maryland with real estate?
Oh, it's much different than it is in Florida.
Say no more. Next question. How do you market homes? How are you marketing your homes?
What I do now is mostly use technology in an effort to get the homes out to a wider audience. So if I'm working with a seller, for example, one of the first things that I would do is sit down with them and have a consultation just to get a feel for where they are as far as what their timeline is, what their goals are. Is it something where they're moving right away and the house will be vacant and we might need staging, for example? Or if they're going to be living in the home and we might need to, I don't want to say declutter, but minimize the objects that are out there, right?
Decluttering is a good word. It's what it is, really, decluttering. You want to make it nice, clean, neat.
Clean, neat, exactly. And that's what, first impressions, you only get one opportunity to do them, right?
I always say that.
And that's usually what it is for a buyer. When they come in, it has to make a really good impression almost within like 5 seconds.
Exactly. They can walk in. I remember my first house down here, walk in, and the house that I ended up buying was empty.
Right.
Every home I went into, when you see other people's stuff, and it's like I can't visualize my things there and living that. So I'd walk in, out, and then the one that was empty, I'll take it because I could see what it's all about.
Right.
Yeah.
So that does make a difference. You're right.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's definitely a psychology in being able to see, personalizing that space for you and your family.
Right.
And exactly when it is too much going on, a lot of people aren't able to see past that.
Yes.
So that's something that we consult these sellers with and really help them to get their house in the most presentable fashion. Yeah. So the next step would be to hire the professional photographer.
Oh, and next, in 2 weeks, we're seeing your work.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And there's nothing.
Absolutely.
That's it. Okay.
Going to bring the prints up.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that he brings in that visual appeal. He has really excellent cameras and lenses and editing skills. So
wonderful.
Really highlights and showcases the homes. A lot of buyers nowadays are looking for homes online and on apps. So the pictures are what really draw them in and grab their attention. And that's a strong skill set that he has. So I leave that part to him.
And then it's amazing, right? But when you think about it, I remember my brother bought a car on eBay or something, a Craigslist, and I thought, a car? What are you kidding me? You bought a car on eBay? People are buying homes.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
They really are. And it's a lot different from the time period when realtors had like a book or a catalog that had all the homes, and then they would have to take the buyers to each and every listing. Now it's more about empowering the buyers and giving them access to pretty much all the same information that we do as realtors, with a few exceptions here and there, but they're able to see all the homes, see the areas that they want to live in, and kind of like vet it out. So they're more prepared, they're more educated, they're a little bit more savvy. So I really appreciate that, and basically what I'm here for is just to be a big resource for them, that they're not working real estate day in and day out, but they know what they want. So I definitely help them with that. So essentially we're just using the websites and the apps to get the home in front of as many people as possible. It's all about exposure.
Yeah, because that's true. When you're thinking about it, you're able to look out on the screen and move around into the other rooms versus looking at the front of the house, and down here you might see a cloudy bedroom or a shady looking That's pretty big. What services do you provide for the buyers, for your home buyers?
So for home buyers, it's a little bit more hand-holding, because a lot of my buyers tend to be first-time home buyers. So from the very first time we meet, whether it's at a Starbucks or at a home that they're interested in, I do my best to give them like golden nuggets of information on the home buying process. Each home, each transaction is a little bit different, but for the most part, they all follow the same timeline. So just really helping them out with the paperwork, preparing that for them. And that's where the legal background and skill set comes in handy, because I'm able to actually explain parts of the contracts, whereas ordinary realtors who are not licensed would not be able to do that, because that's considered practicing law.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of buyers appreciate that, because if they have questions or something's not clear, I can explain it to them very thoroughly. So they really appreciate that. And
what's the percentages now? Are the for when you brokers, when you sell a home?
Usually it's about 6%, with 3% going to the buy side and the sell side. Sometimes you have 5, where it's like 2.5% going to each, but customarily in this area it's about 3%.
Yeah, that's pretty much much what I've seen in other areas.
Yeah.
What areas do you service?
I service predominantly South Palm Beach County and North Broward counties. So Delray, Boca, Deerfield, Coral Springs.
What's your favorite area? Or
I live here in Boca.
Yeah.
I think it's got gorgeous real estate and just really beautiful areas. So I like being in Boca.
Did you have, what is your most memorable moment when you went above and beyond for someone?
So, again, we are in a seller's market, so multiple offers are pretty common.
Oh, yeah. That's fun. I love that. Bidding war.
Bidding wars.
Yeah.
And for a home buyer, that can be pretty nerve-wracking.
Oh, yes. Yeah, for the home buyer, but not for the
seller, right?
Seller, it's like you can't stand it.
Right.
I was working with a buyer who was a BSO officer, and him and his wife had...
BSO?
Yeah.
What's BSO?
Broward Sheriff's Office.
Oh, okay.
And him and his wife had about 5 children, all under the age of 10.
That's rough.
So it was
that's
all
a
boys,
lot of,
by the way.
lot of work.
Okay, a lot of work.
Right.
Oh, my God. Okay.
And it was really admirable. She was a stay-at-home mom. She did homeschooling.
Had to.
They did everything on their own, basically. So because of the size of their family, it kind of cut down into their budget a little bit for buying a home. So we entered into a contract after not necessarily outbidding other buyers, but what I did was when we were seeing the home, I saw that the buyer and the seller was home at the time. They started talking, and once they start doing that, I kind of just like hover around, but I don't necessarily intervene unless I feel it's necessary.
Yeah.
And they had a very natural and organic connection.
Right.
He was prior military. The seller was also former military. So they had that connection, and, the children were there, and they kind of got to see who was going to be moving into my home.
Right.
These sellers were homeowners for 30-plus years, They weren't just investors who were looking for a quick profit.
Right.
So after having that connection, I, recommended for my buyer to write a letter to the seller so that they can not only remember them when they're reviewing offers, but really get a sense of, who they are as human beings.
Right. That's a good idea.
Right?
That really is a good idea.
So that was actually a very successful tactic because although their offer wasn't the highest in monetary value,
right,
there was a big sentimental value that appealed to the seller.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Whose idea was that? Was that your idea?
That was my idea. Yeah.
Bravo to you, baby. That was
you.
very good. That's you getting in touch with the human side.
Yeah. And it's not always, it doesn't necessarily work for everyone.
Yeah.
It's very kind of like, you have to see their dynamic and their energy. And
I bet not too many people have that feeling. Or, who thinks of that?
Yeah.
That was really good.
A lot of times
really
it can be
good.
awkward when the seller's home and things of that nature.
Of course. But to get in touch with the human side of people is that was a good thing to do.
I like that because sometimes it's not all about numbers in business.
Exactly.
It's just about liking
human
the person
side.
and having
Human
that
side.
soulful connection.
Yeah, I love that. That's what I do at the store a lot.
And that's what I loved about your store. Yeah. When I walked in,
she's going to repeat everything that I said.
It's okay. I don't mind hearing it.
Feeling. It was like so zen.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
All the merchandise is outstanding, and I didn't even feel like I was in a consignment store. I felt like I was in some type of like retreat center.
Oh, I like that.
It was this. I was like,
one on me. She has one on me.
I love it.
Retreat center. I like
know,
that
you
one.
didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
That was good.
I like that.
I like to hear that.
Yeah,
I
I also love like retail therapy though.
Retail therapy, but you're right. But it's so interesting to hear that because I always like to hear what people think.
Nice energy, nice vibe, and Chloe.
Oh, Chloe,
such a staple of the store.
I know, she's
so lovely.
Chloe,
it's two on me.
She's my baby.
That's two on me. I didn't. She has the puppy love, so
I have
I know, and she's a woman, so we kind of can. A little different than you.
I'm sorry, Chloe. Shout out to you.
That's right.
Sorry for forgetting you.
You're my mama's girl. How do you maintain your professionalism?
So, as a realtor and an attorney, there are tons of opportunity for continuing education. I attend classes that they hold at the Realtor Association, and I attend conferences. I speak to agents who have been in the business for longer than I have and just kind of pick their brain and see what things are like. But I think that one of the most important things outside of, your education, how many degrees you have, what experience you have, is how you present yourself.
Correct.
And I always try to step out looking as professional as possible because people want you to be representative of something that a home purchase, for example, is probably one of the biggest investments that they're going to make in their life. And they want to make sure that you look sharp because people, unfortunately, do judge a book by its cover.
Yes, they do, unfortunately, but that's true.
Yeah. And that's another reason why I loved your store because it has awesome pieces.
Yeah.
And really great things, like I'm talking about, like from head to toe.
Amazing appeal.
Yeah.
Amazing appeal.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh gosh, what is the best way? What is the best way to contact you? That's key.
Yeah.
The best way to contact me is on my cell phone or my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/S Middleton ESQ.
Okay.
And
S Middleton ESQ.
Yes.
Middleton is MIDDLETON.
MIDDLETONESQ.
Yes.
He's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's good.
That's
He's
it.
good. Yeah.
I believe that my cell phone number is also 301-252-7886 if you'd like to contact me and speak to me directly.
Yeah. I would be call. I definitely think that, really. I can see you out there because you're just mellow. You tell it like it is. You show it. You stage it. Do you stage houses? Do you staging?
I don't stage them myself, but I work with a lady who does staging.
Yeah.
So that's
important, staging.
Yeah.
It really is.
And that's a good point because there are other, I want to say, players that come into the real estate transaction. Your home inspectors, your mortgage brokers. There's just different service providers that you're going to need along the way. And it's good as a realtor because you make these connections and then you can advise your buyer or seller on who to use or who to go to and things like that.
I was going to ask you a question. How long, like when they sign the contract, the buyer signs the contract, do they have time to pull out?
Yes, they do. So customarily,
or back out, I should say.
Yeah. Ordinarily, the home inspection contingency is one of the first areas or opportunities where they can get out of the contract. But usually it's based upon a result of the inspection.
And how long does it take before the inspection? Like, as soon as you sign the contract, how many days do they have to set up the inspection and get the mortgage?
Okay, so...
And I guess inspection comes first and then the mortgage.
Yes.
Yeah, because you don't want to buy a house if it's going to cost you,
Yeah. So in Florida, we're currently using what they call the as-is contract, which means that the seller isn't under any obligation to make repairs contractually.
Right. Well,
so that's why it allows the buyer to back out. But it can be, it's negotiable. It can be usually up to about 15 days from the time they sign.
Right.
Both parties sign the contract. But depending on what the scenario is, you might want to narrow down that timeline, particularly if it's a competitive scenario.
Right. Sure. Sure.
And then for the mortgage, it's usually about 30 days from when you sign.
Yeah. And then there was something else I was going to ask you. When people want to buy the furniture or not buy the furniture or close at a certain date, there's a lot to it when you're selling.
There
really
is a lot. And
a lot of paperwork and a lot of negotiating.
Yes.
And you love all that.
I love it.
Really?
It's something that, I don't want to say I was born for, but it's something that comes very easily to me. My approach isn't necessarily to be aggressive and nasty.
Right, I
just
understand.
Because I don't like when people do that to me.
That's how I feel about my business.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we had that connection.
Exactly, because I hate that. I do not like pushy.
No, I don't.
Pushy is just,
Yeah. So you end up making connections with people because they see that you're nice and you're working in the best interest of your client. And it's just easier to work with people who are cordial than not.
Yep.
So negotiation is an art, and there's different personalities require different approaches, but it's something that I really enjoy doing.
Yeah. And it is an art.
Yes,
it's an art to bring the people to you. It's an art to show because you have to show it a certain way. Presentation.
Yes.
I always say presentation and saying something with conviction. And then the closing.
Yes.
They're all key, but the closing is, very
most vital part.
It is. It really is.
And always trying to keep the whole thing together and not have it fall apart throughout that process.
Oh, yeah.
Because 30 or 45 days is a lot of room for error.
Too much. It's too much. Too much time. And all you have to do is bring a relative or a friend in there. Oh, I want to show you the house. Can we see the house? And they come in and they say,
I don't like this.
They kill it.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't invite anyone.
That's good advice.
Right. Just wait until you tell them you have to wait until we close. And then we're going to have a big party.
That's perfect.
I wouldn't let anyone come into the house.
That's the best thing I've heard in a long time.
No, it's not. You can say that. It's just a superstition. You just have that superstitious feeling. You just don't like to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And that, my friends, is what wisdom gives you.
Yes, it does.
Age and wisdom.
Wisdom.
Oh, wisdom.
We'll leave it at
okay.
wisdom. I'm going to give you the age
right.
thing.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So, wait a minute. I think someone at this table might be having a baby.
We have a third party.
Yes, Wendy, I just realized you have a beautiful baby bump.
Thank you.
You have a baby bump. How far along are you?
I'm about 4 months pregnant right now.
How wonderful.
Yeah.
How wonderful. How are you feeling?
I feel great. Thank God. I haven't had any morning sickness or discomfort or anything like that. It's been a very...
No, like
nice.
you said, mornings, really? That's pretty good. No crackers by the bedside and ginger ale like I used to have?
No, thank God. I had a couple of my girlfriends, I was talking about them and their experience. It was completely different. It was, so I was very fortunate to have this kind of like effortless pregnancy. So far, thank God. Yeah.
That's great. Well, if you've gone along this far, then it's perfect. Mm-hmm. And then the next trimester, and when do you do?
In February.
February. And you don't know if it's a boy or girl? Aquarius.
I want to give a shout out to my fellow Aquarians out there.
Aquarius.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
We're the best.
Yes. Well,
I think that'll be a beautiful gift to me, because it's giving me something to keep my head up to now, because losing my father was huge. So now God's kind of blessing me with new life. Yeah. And it's just an amazing feeling to know that, I created that life just as well as my father created me. I get stories all the time about the moment that he had because I'm the firstborn, the moment that he had when I came about. It was, a surreal moment for him. And I'm going through that same process now, and it's amazing. So I know we're getting short here, so I'm going to let you close out.
I wish you the best of luck, and
Thank you.
Both of you. And it was wonderful having you here. I'm so happy you were able to come, Shereen, and I'll see you, buddy. I like the word buddy. In 2 weeks. So stay tuned. Good night, everyone. Have a good evening, great weekend,
Bye-bye.
And thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching Serendipity Style. I hope you enjoyed our show tonight, and I look forward to sharing with you again. Please visit Serendipity East, now located at 111 East Palmetto Park Road, Boca, 1 block east of Federal Highway on the north side. See you next week. Have a good evening.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsor